Let's have a chat about the Roosters, of course. A lot of people tipping them to be highly competitive again in this season. So we're having a look at what happened last season. They finished sixth, of course, out the first week of the finals with that crazy game loss to the South Sydney Rabbitohs.
Imploded.
Really, really strange. Of course, Joey Manu didn't play in that game, picked up the injury in the game the week beforehand. Significant in, there is one, and that is Brandon Smith in that number 9 jersey. Sam Verrills is, of course, up to the Gold Coast. And Siwa Tokiaho, who's been an outstanding player for them for the best part of a decade, has moved over to Catalan. Thoughts, Michael?
I like the Roosters a lot. I like the addition of Brandon Smith. Sam Verrills is a good player, good first grader, but Brandon Smith is elite and gets an opportunity now to play, start at hooker and play a full season there for basically almost the first time in his career. So I like his addition. Jake Turpin adds a little bit of. He's going to be the backup hooker. I like that to play second fiddle. That's a pretty elite backup hooker that they've got there. So they've got enough cover there now. They struggled at times when Sam Verrills was missing through injury.
If they're fully fit, he's not in the 17.
No, he's not in the
Jake
17.
Turpin.
No way. No, because Connor Watson plays that utility.
Yes,
but
yes.
I'm talking about the additions that they've brought in, and we know how much footy that Sam Verrills missed over the years, and they just really struggled in that spot. But when your backline consists of Tedesco, Sualihi, Joey Manu, wow.
Is there going to be a problem with Manu Sualihi not getting the ball enough? Do we see that?
I think there will be games where you go, wow, they need to touch the ball more, no doubt. But the way and how clever Trent Robinson is, he's going to find a way to get him in the game.
Yeah. And when you've got someone, elite talent like Joey Manu, and he displayed it over there in the World Cup, he's playing in that fullback position. He basically confirmed everything that we all knew, right? And that was that he's an elite player in the competition. So you start looking at their spine. Tedesco, maybe without peer in the league. Luke Keary. So Luke Keary's a really interesting one. If he gets another concussion, and, touch wood, but he would have to start considering his options.
For sure. I thought Luke Keary had a sensational last 2 months of the season. Outstanding. And showed that, there was some concerns whether, what should the Roosters do with Luke Keary? When they've got Joey Manu, they bite the bullet, move Joey Manu to 6 and tell Luke Keary, well, maybe your time's done here. He's got 12 months left on his deal. I'm pretty sure he's off contract now in 2023. So it's a big season for Luke Keary, but I think he's vitally important to controlling that side and stick and keeping them together. Because Sam Walker is still, I think he's about to enter his third year of first grade, but he's still got a lot of on-field maturing to do. And he can play a little bit loose while Luke Keary is there controlling the side.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how. So you expect another year in the progression of Sam Walker as well, which we've seen over those 2 years that you mentioned, and then Brandon Smith there. Look at the forward pack that they can put on this. Jared Warrior-Hargreaves, Lindsay Collins, Angus Crichton will be back for the start of the season, Nat Butcher, Victor Radley. So Matt Lodge is potentially not even a starting front row. He was superb back end of last year.
Yes, and Satili Tupanua is going to miss a large chunk of the year as well through recovering from his ACL, but he'll come back into that side about the midway point of the season and give him that injection through Origin as well. So, it's a really formidable side. Luke Keary's got 2 years left, so he's got 23, 24. But I think on paper, it is the most complete side. There's not a lot of holes in that lineup.
So if we're looking at the Melbourne Storm, their spine, you could say, right, they were better. We're making a presumption that Pappenhausen is back to his best. So you go, right, their spine is better. But overall, when Manu is not considered because he's not in your spine.
Exactly.
When Sualihi is not considered, although maybe still question marks around whether he is the finished product from a fullback point of view. I mean, he's only young.
Yeah, he's a long way from being a week in, week out NRL fullback. But they'll probably play him in the centres this year, so he'll get more involved. But that strike that they're going to have on either side of the field, it's a halves dream, isn't it?
Does the centre get more involved than a winger these days?
Depends on how you play him.
True.
Joey Manu gets more involved than most wingers.
A centre might have to pass more than a winger, which is the development of Swalihi. But based on everything I've heard and seen, that this guy is as ultra professional, like this one, just one of those young guys that, like a Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, that just completely gets it as well. They are going to have another outstanding season. They're a very strong squad in an outstanding system with a top 3 in the league right now coach.
Yep, and they've got the mix of those young guys with upside and Suolihi and Walker. I think Nat Butcher had a great back end of the year as well when he had to carry the load of a few injuries in that forward pack. So, and then they've got those established stars that show no signs of slowing down. So I think they're in a real purple spot for next year.
Angus Crichton, you could argue, was the best forward on the Kangaroo Tour for the World Cup. So where do you have them?
First.
Okay, I got them second. They're finishing second, but they're in the grand final. So another strong year coming up for the Roosters.